This is the story of Lucas and his Aunt Maria, who grew very close to each other. One day, Lucas was taking his aunt home. Maria had been staying at his place for a few days. Suddenly, she kissed him. Instead of dropping her home, Lucas took her to a club where they spent the entire night together. The next morning, when Maria returned to her husband's house, her husband asked her where she had been the previous night. She made an excuse, saying she was tired and went to rest. In reality, her relationship with her husband was not going well. The happiness she had been searching for, she felt she finally found with Lucas. Maria's husband, Hannes, was a police officer. He was extremely hot-tempered, and because his marriage was falling apart, his mental state was unstable. One night, Maria's father, Paul, hosted a party. Lucas and his sister Rosa were also present at the party. After some time, Rosa left the party with her friend. Outside, they couldn't find a place to stay, and her friend insisted they go out together. Eventually, Rosa agreed, and the two went out, enjoying themselves. That night, Hannes was on duty and was already worried about his wife. Suddenly, a car speeding past him caught his attention. Enraged, Hannes chased the car and managed to stop it. When he looked inside, he was shocked to see Rosa, Lucas's sister, with her boyfriend. Hannes sternly ordered Rosa to go home, scolding her for leaving the party and roaming around with her boyfriend late at night. Trying to calm him down, Rosa took Hannes aside and pleaded with him. She told him to let her go with her boyfriend because he was leaving town the next morning, and this was their last chance to spend time together. But Hannes refused to listen. Rosa tried harder to persuade him, getting closer to him. Eventually, she managed to convince him, but at the cost of forgetting all boundaries and relationships. At that very moment, Rosa's boyfriend Gregor arrived and saw them together. He was completely shattered from the inside, but he didn't say a word to Hannes. Hannes, on the other hand, felt victorious. He was happy, feeling a sense of triumph he hadn't felt in years, something even his wife hadn't given him. He then allowed Gregor and Rosa to leave. Rosa walked away without saying a single word. As Hannes stood there, he suddenly noticed a man watching him from the darkness, staring intensely. Hannes was stunned. He realized that this man had seen everything. The next morning, Hannes was at home having breakfast. His wife was late for work and left without saying anything. Hannes continued eating breakfast with his daughter when he suddenly received a phone call. He was informed that Rosa had been in an accident. Hannes rushed to the scene. What he saw left him shocked. Rosa's body was lying lifeless on the ground. Gregor had been rushed to the hospital just in time. He was still breathing. Seeing Rosa dead, the ground slipped beneath Hannes's feet. Soon, his senior officer arrived and informed him that the investigation was ongoing to determine whether Rosa's death was an accident or if someone had intentionally killed her. Hearing this, Hannes panicked. He feared that his secret would come out, that people would find out he had met Rosa that night. During questioning, Lucas, his mother, and Hannes's wife all arrived together. Everyone was completely broken by Rosa's death, but no one knew how it had happened. They all wanted answers. Hannes was terrified that if his family discovered the truth about that night, everything would be destroyed. He went straight to the hospital to see Gregor. Gregor was lying there in a coma, completely helpless. Hannes stood in front of Gregor, trying to compose himself, but the fear was clearly visible on his face. After some time, Hannes went back to the same place where he had stopped Rosa and Gregor the previous night, the spot where everything had gone wrong. He looked around, but there were no footprints left behind. Then he walked toward the road and noticed tire marks that appeared to be from Rosa's car. Panicking, Hannes tried to erase the marks so no evidence would remain. Suddenly, two police officers, Manuel and James, arrived at the scene. Hannes became nervous and made up excuses, somehow managing to convince them to leave. However, as they walked away, James had already grown suspicious. He was certain that Hannes knew more about Rosa's death than he was admitting. Meanwhile, Lucas was trying to cope with Rosa's death. From time to time, his Aunt Maria would visit his house to share the family's grief and offer comfort. On the other hand, Hannes became even more disturbed when he saw the same mysterious man standing in front of his office again. He couldn't understand the connection between that man and Rosa's death, but Hannes's anxiety only made James more suspicious of him. At the same time, Rosa's mother Edith was crying uncontrollably. Her tears wouldn't stop, and her sister Maria tried to support her, hoping to ease her pain. Later, Lucas was driving Maria home. On the way, they talked about Rosa's death. Suddenly, the weather changed, and it started raining heavily. They stepped out of the car and got soaked in the rain. Lucas handed Maria a towel and hugged her. In an emotional moment, he kissed her. Maria immediately stepped back, angry and shocked. She told him to stay away from her. Feeling humiliated, Lucas quietly stepped back and left without saying a word. The next day, Maria was about to leave after hugging her sister when Lucas called out from behind, asking if he could drop her home. Maria refused without thinking. Lucas stopped her again and asked, "Are you angry with me?" Maria turned around. Her eyes were filled with anger and restlessness. She asked him, "What do you want from me?" After a few moments of silence, emotions took over, and both of them crossed boundaries that should never have been crossed. That night, every moral line was broken because Maria was Lucas's mother's real sister, his own aunt. As night fell, Maria and Lucas headed toward a club, the same club their family had been running for years. As soon as they entered, they saw Jim, the man who managed the club. Lucas simply gave him a look, and without asking a single question, Jim handed him the key to a private room. What happened behind that closed door crossed every relationship, every boundary, and every sense of right and wrong. Maria forgot her husband Hannes and gave in to her desires with Lucas. They had no idea. That same night, Hannes was waiting for Maria at home. She still hadn't returned. Suddenly, Hannes got out of bed and began talking to his daughter, explaining that relationships no longer had the same value in today's world. He tried to convince her that he and her mother loved each other deeply. What Hannes didn't know was that Maria had already gone far beyond the life he believed they shared. Late that night, Maria finally returned home. As soon as she opened the door, Hannes asked without hesitation, "Where were you for so long?" Without blinking, Maria lied. She said she was tired, sleepy, and just wanted to rest. With that, she went straight to her room. And with that single answer, all of Hannes's doubts were left unresolved. The next morning, when Hannes woke up, Maria had already gone to meet her sister. Rosa's funeral still had not taken place. Meanwhile, Sebastian, Lucas's brother, was questioning the man who had seen Rosa with Hannes on her final night. The man revealed that something had happened between Rosa and Hannes that night. Sebastian immediately understood everything. He realized that the person behind all of this was his own brother-in-law, Hannes. While driving back home, Hannes suddenly received a call from Sebastian. Lucas's elder brother had already figured out what Hannes had done to Rosa that night. There was rage in Sebastian's voice, and his intention was clear. He wanted revenge. They met alone at the club. Sebastian didn't listen to a single explanation. He attacked Hannes without hesitation. He had come to avenge his sister. In a desperate attempt to save himself, Hannes fired his gun. Sebastian collapsed to the ground. In that moment, while trying to get justice for his sister, Sebastian also lost his own life. With trembling hands, Hannes wiped away every piece of evidence from the scene. He placed Sebastian's body into the trunk of his car. But at that very moment, James arrived at the club. He had come looking for Hannes. James called him repeatedly, but Hannes had put his phone on silent. As James entered the room to search for him, Hannes seized the opportunity and escaped. Hearing the sound of a car, James ran after him, but slipped and fell down the stairs. Still, James refused to give up. He rushed outside, started his car, and followed. But by then, Hannes was already far ahead. Hannes thought his trouble was finally over. But suddenly, he saw a police checkpoint ahead. His car was stopped. Panic took over. His truth was about to come out. Just then, Hannes's senior officer arrived and allowed him to leave. Hannes drove straight to the house of the man Sebastian had questioned earlier. When they met, the man apologized, admitting that he had told Sebastian everything. After that, Hannes waited for nightfall. Under the cover of darkness, he went alone to a graveyard and buried Sebastian beneath the ground. On the other side, Edith, Maria's sister, fell seriously ill after Sebastian went missing. Lucas was taking his mother to the hospital when he held Maria's hand and insisted she come with them. Maria refused. When Lucas reached the hospital with his mother, he saw regret reflected in Edith's eyes. She said she would no longer distance herself from her family and apologized for never taking care of them properly. At that moment, Lucas received a call from Maria. She first asked about Edith's condition. Lucas told her that after medication, his mother was feeling better. But the conversation didn't end there. As the night grew darker, Maria looked at her exhausted sister and told her to rest. But Edith replied that Maria should return home because she had a family of her own. She said she wasn't a child who needed constant care. Those words hurt Maria deeply. The sister she had sacrificed everything for was pushing her away. Filled with anger and pain, Maria turned to leave. Lucas tried to stop her and ran after her, but Maria shouted through her tears, "I can never leave my family for you," and walked away. Lucas returned home with a broken heart. The next day, Edith went to church. She had been alone for years and emotionally shattered from within. The priest opened the door, smiled gently, and invited her inside. But in a moment of emotional weakness, Edith crossed a line that should never have been crossed. cost. For years, Lucas's mother had lived as a widow, suppressing her emotions and desires. That day, she lost control, and her faith faltered. Meanwhile, the investigation into Rosa's death was ongoing at the police station. Officer George was reviewing the case files when James stormed into the room, furious. He demanded that Hannes be fully investigated. James openly accused Hannes, saying that he was patrolling that road the night of the incident. He was the one who stopped Rosa and her boyfriend and took advantage of the situation. George responded with contempt in his eyes. "You don't have any solid evidence." James lost control and shouted, "You're deliberately refusing to order a DNA test on Hannes. You're a corrupt police officer who's afraid of the Hartman family." The truth was that George was trying to protect Hannes at any cost. George stepped forward calmly and said in a firm voice, "I have never fallen so low that I would ruin an honest officer's life based on baseless accusations just to destroy his family." In reality, jealousy had taken deep root in James's heart. Hannes had always been better at his job, and James couldn't accept that. At that moment, Hannes entered the room. James walked out angrily without saying a word. George shook hands with Hannes and asked about his health. Hannes said he was fine. After that, Hannes left the station, but he was still unable to understand who had really killed Rosa, especially when everyone suspected him. He called the hospital and asked if Rosa's boyfriend had regained consciousness. The doctors said no. When Hannes reached home, he saw that Maria was leaving, ready to walk away forever. Her thoughts had changed so much that she refused to take even her daughter with her. A strange bitterness had taken hold of her heart, and she saw the child as an emotional burden. It was raining heavily outside. Hannes quickly lifted Sandra into his arms and ran back inside so she wouldn't catch a cold. Holding his little daughter close, soaked in rain and tears, Hannes kept saying, "So what if your mother left? I'm still here. I'll take care of you." When Maria reached her sister's house, Lucas broke down and rushed toward her, trying to hold her, completely losing control of himself. Seeing this, Maria exploded in anger. She clearly told him, "Stay away from me forever." In Lucas's eyes, it was obvious. He was deeply trapped in feelings he could no longer escape. The next morning, Hannes met Maria. By then, Maria had already uncovered his dark truth. Hannes's anger and pain erupted at once. "How could you betray our daughter like this?" he shouted. Without saying a word, Maria handed him a piece of paper. Written on it was the very truth of what Hannes had done with Rosa. In a cold voice, she said, "Now there's only one way to prove the truth, a DNA test." The color drained from Hannes's face. Stammering, he asked, "What is all this?" There were no tears left in Maria's eyes. "Your actions are already exposed," she said firmly. Making one last attempt, Hannes asked, "Do you really think I could do something like that?" Maria replied, "Stop worrying about your job. The DNA test will reveal everything." With a poisonous smile, Hannes answered, "People can be bought with money. But before I give my sample, I have one condition. 1 million euros must be deposited into my daughter's bank account." Maria laughed bitterly and said, "Are you joking? You won't get even a single cent." Hannes completely lost his temper. He said that no matter what, the money had to be transferred into his daughter's account. He told Maria to go and speak to her father. As he stepped closer, Maria felt deeply uncomfortable. Shocked and shaken, she immediately pulled away and left. Tears rolled down her face as she walked out. That same night, people gathered to mourn Rosa. Maria was also present. Everyone was grieving, and the atmosphere was heavy with sorrow. The next day, Rosa's funeral took place. A large crowd came to say their final goodbye. Everyone was heartbroken, but even then, there was no clear lead on who was responsible for her death. Later, Hannes quietly went to the club, the same club where Maria and Lucas often spent time. He entered the CCTV room and began checking the recordings. Suddenly, his eyes stopped on one screen. With trembling hands, he played the footage. What he saw completely shattered him. On the screen, Hannes stood frozen for several seconds. Without saying a word, he walked out, trying to hold back his tears. Inside, he was completely broken. On the other side, Maria now wanted to end everything with Hannes. She took her father and uncle into the kitchen and said, "Just give him 1 million euros, and this nightmare will be over." Her uncle's expression turned cold. He suggested handling Hannes permanently, assuring that no one would ever find out. "First give him the money," he said. "After that, I'll decide what happens." Hearing this, Maria finally lost her patience. She shouted at her uncle, and a heated argument broke out. Seeing things getting out of control, Paul pulled his brother away and stopped the fight. Sometime later, the two brothers were seen counting cash from a suitcase, as if the decision had already been made. Sensing danger, Hannes sent his daughter far away with a woman named Dina, hoping to keep her safe. Soon after, his phone rang. It was Maria. She told him the money was ready. Knowing Maria's father wouldn't give money easily, Hannes didn't go himself. Instead, he sent a trusted friend to collect it. After a while, the friend called and confirmed that the full amount had been transferred into his daughter's bank account. For the first time in months, Hannes felt relief. But the moment he stepped inside, he froze. Lucas was standing right in front of him. The truth was, Hannes's friend had betrayed him. He took the money and secretly informed Maria that Hannes was responsible for Sebastian's death. Greed had changed everything. The real plan was to bring Hannes to the club and confront him. Lucas stepped forward and angrily asked why his brother was killed. Hannes tried to react, but Lucas overpowered him. When Hannes regained consciousness, he tried to explain himself. He claimed Sebastian had come to attack him, and everything that followed was an accident driven by fear. As Maria's uncle prepared to take Hannes away, Hannes made one final request: to speak to his daughter. After hesitating, Maria agreed. Hannes spoke on the phone in a broken voice, as if talking to his daughter after a long time. Every word sounded emotional, and Maria couldn't stop herself from crying. But the truth was different. On the other end of the call was not his daughter, but Tom Hannes's old friend, waiting for a signal. Just before the call ended, Hannes shouted loudly. That was the signal. Moments later, a massive explosion destroyed everything. Hannes and Maria's entire family were gone. The village had never witnessed such devastation before. Standing among the smoke and ruins, Tom finally felt free. He had already been paid for his role in the plan. In the end, Hannes achieved one thing. His daughter was sent far away, forever separated from the dark truth that ended with the rest of the family. And with that, the story comes to an end.